Heyo, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? A new episode of IoT Nuggets.
Yeah, they haven't fired us yet, Doug.
They haven't. Yeah, IoT Nuggets with IoT Group, and I'm Doug Cohen from M10 Social, and next to me is my illustrious co-host, Mr. Steve Brummer from IoT Group.
Golf clap, golf clap.
Golf clap. And deserving of a real round of applause is Mr. Andy Doe from Embedded Works joining us today. President and CEO.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Andy.
Yeah.
And a little housekeeping.
You can tell how professional this is, Andy. It's unbelievable.
I love the banter. It's good.
It's extremely professional. We need guests to try
and elevate. They're more professional than us.
Gotta keep you guys honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, the guests make the show, because without it,
it would just be me and you, and that's not good.
Disaster. Yeah. So, but IoT Group up there in the corner, bhiotgroup.com is the website. If you want to reach out to Steve and John Hubler and the rest of the team at IoT Group to talk about IoT and your strategy, deployment, how to bring it to market. And Andy Doe is one of the guys in this industry that can help you do that as well. Embedded Works does some really exciting things, and we're going to talk about that today a little bit. I'm going to hand it off to you, Steve. Take it away.
Excellent. Thanks, Doug. Andy, as we said, it's thank you for joining us. It's fantastic to have you, and it's great.
This is long overdue. We've been wanting to do this for a while. So
we have been, and thank goodness we found the time to do it. So everybody out there in IoT Nugget land, this is going to be the first part of a 4-part series that Andy and I are going to do, really related to helium. It is the hot topic right now around the LoRaWAN IoT world. There's some things that both of us are learning about the helium world that we wanted to share with you. And when Andy and I started to talk about the idea of putting this thing together, this just resonated with us. So this will, as I said, this will be the first one of 4, and we'll continue to progress our sessions on different subjects within the helium environment, so everybody can better understand it, and also know that Andy and I are primarily SMB, B2B, enterprise bigots. So when we start to talk about it, we're just going to say a little bit about how we are looking at those markets. So Andy, for the people out there in IoT land that have no idea who Embedded Works is, which is, it can't be a lot of people, give us a little bit of background, give us a little of idea of who Embedded Works is and what you do for a living.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Steve, for the intro. Yeah, we've, I would say we are a 16-year young company. Started out as a distributor of wireless components for all the buzzword technologies that we all know and love: Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, cellular, etc. And through the years, we've kind of evolved into a company that provides solutions. So on top of selling hardware for a very wireless-centric space, we also provide GPS tracking services. One of our brands is trackingforless.com, for example. We do sensors for yet another work, sensorworks.net. And we've also got into the business of doing public Wi-Fi or managed Wi-Fi. But at the end of the day, our goal is to enable our clients to really build out a wireless solution. And today, of course, the buzzword of today is IoT. And when I started, embedded was a cool word back then, hence Embedded Works, but it's kind of now not as cool as IoT. But all of that coalesces into some embedded wireless technology for us. And so that's kind of how we evolved. And now, of course, this thing called helium, which you're going to talk about, is really exciting for the next stage of where we want to be.
So let's just jump right into it, since we're trying to keep these things short and sweet. So how did you get involved with helium?
Yeah, so I got involved with helium about a year ago. Just because we sell wireless accessories like most companies, and we sell antennas, we sell all sorts of things, and LoRa is the crux of the helium technology, LoRaWAN, and that's a 900 megahertz technology. And all of a sudden we started seeing people buying our outdoor antennas and things, and we were wondering, why all of a sudden this interest for 900 megahertz outdoor antennas? Lo and behold, we find out that there are a lot of folks mining with helium, or they call them hotspot boxes. And one of the metrics in order to mine is to have proof of coverage, and the more coverage one has, meaning a bigger antenna, that allows one to make more coin, so to speak. So that got our interest, and next thing I know, I'm knee deep into helium, and now I'm certainly high on helium right now. So yeah, so that's kind of my story.
Excellent. And so and as I said, we're looking at this thing from an SMB enterprise standpoint. Let's take the consumer part out of this.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the parts and the pieces of a helium SMB enterprise solution that you're working on.
A solution. So yeah, think of helium as a LoRaWAN or LoRa carrier, like a T-Mobile AT&T. They're a carrier of cellular. Well, these guys are a carrier of sorts of LoRa, and LoRa is a 900 megahertz technology that is wireless technology that isn't fast enough to surf the internet. Too slow for that, but it's wonderful for doing sensors, asset tracking. So if you need to track a GPS, coordinate, or you want to have a meter reader report, it's beautiful for that. And the fact that it has very low power, you can essentially have a sensor device, temperature, humidity, and it would last 2 years, reporting maybe once a day. So it's extremely perfect for IoT. And because of this network, which others have tried to build a LoRa national global network, but what Helium did was turn the whole game up on its face, upside down, really. And they basically said, hey, people of the world, why don't we give you a hotspot box and you park it at your place of work or home, and in exchange, to help us build this coverage, we will pay you in cryptocurrency, which their coin is called HNT. And of course, everybody's got the crypto craze these days, Steve, whether you're a Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, but
$66,000 today.
Yeah, it did hit the high like recently. Yeah, I'm amazed. And, it wasn't too long ago where, it was half that. So this has got this insatiable kind of appetite to mine, and it's so easy to mine, right? I mean, you literally, you plug in a box, put the antenna on and plug your Ethernet. I mean, it is so much easier than going to build a Bitcoin a server or something, right? Mm-hmm. So that's just the network build out. But the SMB part, to answer your question, is now that you have a network that is built by the people, and that's what they pride themselves, the people's network. And the people's network, let me tell you, has grown from a year ago, it's 15,000 hotspots. Now it's like, 250,000 hotspots. And there's a backlog, hundreds of thousands after that. And I was just checking, the stats this morning. 21,594 cities are now equipped with helium in 142 countries. I mean, it's almost everywhere, right? So with that, why would you want to jump on this net? Why would you want to use it? And comes down to dollars and cents. It's a fraction of the cost to connect to it versus cellular. I mean, when I say a fraction, it's like 1/100th the cost to connect, assuming you have coverage, right? So that's the beautiful thing, and that's really making companies who are using asset tracking and all these other sensory things to really think twice. Do I go LoRa or do I go cellular? And there's strengths to both. Don't get me wrong. Cellular is great because it's ubiquitous. But this is really a game changer.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you, Andy. I think when I look at LoRaWAN network in general and the growth of LoRaWAN for use cases in the SMB enterprise IoT space, it's perfect. And if we can utilize a company like Helium, who has built an interesting revenue model with their HNT, coin-based program,
right,
and we can utilize that coverage, and the people that have installed these gateways really don't know. They're making money off of us, and we don't even know, and they don't know. Nobody knows.
Right.
But from a functionality standpoint, our clients, the end users, and the enterprises that are buying our stuff, is looking at this thing as another way of being able to get a public network, and I think it's awesome. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Andy, this is the end. We came to the end of part one. So what we wanted to do, everybody out there, was to give you a general feel for the basics of Helium, what's going on, what Andy's doing at Embedded Works, and how we're involved at BH IoT Group. And then we'll move on to session 2, part 2, which will be a little bit about how you in the IoT space can make money off of the Helium Network, utilizing groups like Andy's and ours to be able to bring products to market, bring services to market, and especially into the SMB enterprise side. So, Andy, thank you very much. We'll be back with part 2 in a little while. And Doug, back over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. Andy, fascinating stuff. And I'm very intrigued to hear more about it as we go through the progression to talk a little bit about what you folks do in this series, especially when it comes to monetization. So that'll be the next segment. And thank you, everybody, for watching IoT Nuggets. Once again, embeddedworks.net is the website. If you want to find out a little bit more about Embedded Works and connect with Andy, make sure you connect with us on LinkedIn as well as YouTube so you can see the rest of the nuggets, and go to bhiotgroup.com to connect with Steve, John Hubler, and the rest of the BHIOT Group team. So thanks again, everybody, and we will see you next time on IoT Nuggets.
Thanks.
Take care.